So when the student comes in and works with us, we'll call him John. When John comes in, we do an assessment to see where they're at and what are they already capable of, because we're not going to go back to the drawing board if we don't need to. We're going to make sure that the foundation is solid and then build on what they already know and take it to the next level. And so when a student comes in with a dyslexic profile, we're going to work on awareness of sound-symbol relationships. So it's cards, we'll show them a letter, and for each letter there's a key word and a sound, and we ask the student to say B, bat, B, and recognize that the letter that they see also has a phoneme, the sound. So the grapheme, the letter, the phoneme, the sound. And then we build those up into reading single syllable words. So we'll use magnet boards, tiles, we'll use an iPad and a sound literacy app, which each of the letters is on a separate tile, and they have to manipulate the tiles and create the word that we give them, or we give them the word and they have to identify each of the sounds. Everything we try and do is multisensory. So we're asking the students to touch it, say it, feel it, hear it, see it. So it's very, we offer as much as we can a tactile approach in addition to the words on the page and how they say it. Some students may need some reinforcement for articulation, so we work on how does the sound feel when you're producing p and b. What's the difference? So we recognize that one is a voiced sound, b, b, p, p. It's the same, one just has a voice, one doesn't. And really make the students aware not only of what we're teaching them, but why we're doing it, because the more engaged they are in their own learning process, the more likely they are to recall it later and be able to use it in unique situations. So once we have students read a page of words, then we'll have them read sentences with those words in them. And it's a very controlled situation for students who are profoundly dyslexic or moderately dyslexic. We don't just open up a chapter book and ask them to start reading and then correct when they read the words, because we're not teaching them the rules, the patterns for why these words say what they do. We're breaking it down so that every word has, well, I won't say every word because there are sight words and there are words that don't follow the rules. But we give the child a baseline of how to build the different words that they're going to be reading and teaching them the meaning behind it, so that when they're putting them together into sentences or paragraphs or essays or stories, they can also comprehend what they're reading. We have some students who can read beautifully but can't comprehend what they're reading. So this little 8-year-old homeschooled student is reading individual words, bad, and then seeing bad and cat and other similar words in sentences and in stories, and then we'll add digraphs in. So instead of, hip, we read ship or chip, and just patterns like that, building and adding sounds to each of the words until they're familiar with, that pattern, and then we go on to the next. Once they've read words and they've read sentences, there's also a spelling component. There's a direct correlation between reading and spelling. And if we can get them to see it and say it, then we want them to be able to write it as well. So we teach the specific spelling rules which go hand in hand with the reading rules. So decoding is reading, putting it together to read it, and encoding is breaking it apart and spelling it. So that's a lesson. And it seems, when I describe it, it goes really quickly, but it's usually a 45 to 60 minute lesson at least. And some of our students require 90 minutes a day. And so public school settings, or in our setting, we may need to have additional time with students to really provide that level of intervention for them that is going to help close that achievement gap, because their potential is here, but their abilities here. We want to pull their achievement up to match their potential and help them reach their full potential.